So recently I was conducting a live coaching session for some of my clients, and what I realized is they cannot come up with instant opening statements. They cannot come up with the openers which initiate a conversation with a woman, and that sort of holds them back. A lot of clients were like, okay, what should be the opener? What should be the opener? Now, I've been telling this over and over again, and I'll tell you this today as well, that the opening statement does not matter. There's no girl who's going to hook up with you and who's going to be like, oh, I really love that opening statement of yours. No girls probably would remember it, but as a beginner, when you're starting out, that's the first thing that you have to overcome. So you might be thinking about it a lot. You might be placing a lot of value on the things that don't matter. And what I've realized in my journey is the simplest things works the best. Like I would just walk up to a girl and say, hey, it's Arunav. How's your day going so far? Arunav, what's your name? Hello. Arunav. How's your day going so far? And with this, I also understand that you might be in a position where you might be thinking, hey man, why don't you just give me some canned openers so I can just go talk to women, use some pickup lines which actually work. But today I'm going to teach you not only the pickup lines, but the concepts behind creating those pickup lines that actually work, so you can create your lines on the go and you don't have to face this problem that you cannot come up with the opener. Now I want to share my personal experience with this. Now because I could not come up with really good pickup lines or really good opening statements, I would hold myself back to do the approach, and I would think about the opener or the pickup line, what to say, and I would think about it for hours and hours, or maybe like 20 minutes before approaching the girl. And then what would happen is, as soon as I'm going to approach the girl has either left the venue, either left the location, either met her friends, or the situation has changed a little bit, which sort of stopped me from approaching. Now this is the biggest mistake I made in my journey, which I don't want you guys to make. So always calibrate after doing the open. Now I know you might be thinking, but how do I do the open? What is the open exactly and how to make it work? And in today's video, I'm going to teach you 10 pickup lines that are going to work in every situation. The first way of opening any girl is the situational opener. Now, what is the situational opener? The situational opener is when there's a perfect situation that is created so that you can approach the girl.
Excuse me. I'm sure you hear this all the time, but you have the most beautiful eyes I have ever seen.
Yeah, I do get that all the time. How would you like it?
Now understand, this is not going to happen every time. This is going to happen very rarely. So situational opener can be a good starter, but you need to also learn about the other ways of opening. Now for me, in my journey, I remember my first approach was a situational approach. There was a girl who was trying to climb the bridge, and it was Clarke Quay in Singapore, and I was sitting on the bridge and I was like, okay, I cannot come up with good words. How do I approach her? So the girl was trying and she was failing, and she was trying and she was failing, and I was like, okay, let me just go there and not say a word and lend my hand. So I gave her my hand, she climbed up the stairs, and then I didn't have anything good to say. So I froze over there, I didn't know what to say, and I said, you're welcome, and I joined my friends back. But at least I opened the girl. At least I pushed myself to talk to a girl, whether it was a situation that was created, and you can use this as well. Now on the boot camps, we would use it. If a girl is, listening to some music, we just be like, hey, looks like you have some good music choice. What kind of music are you listening to? Or if a girl is, trying to click a selfie, or a bunch of girls is trying to click a selfie, hey, I'm a photographer, let me click it for you. And I would just click it, create a banter while doing the photography. Now I also realize that a lot of beginners struggle with this, because for them, a lot of other ways of approaching is going to sound a bit unnatural. All right, it's like, okay, I'm doing this thing, but I've never done this thing before. And a situational opener gives you a chance to initiate a conversation based on the situation. So if you're someone who cannot really come up with an opener, or if you're someone who's not able to approach just because you're thinking about the best things to say, I would recommend looking at your surroundings and observing these kind of situations where you can actually initiate the conversation based on the situation. And the second way, or a pickup line, or the way you can open and initiate a conversation with a girl, is called the no-brainer opener. Now the no-brainer opener, as the name suggests, you don't really have to use your brain in it. It's just certain lines that you have memorized in your head that you can always rely back on. So in case you approach the girl and you freeze, you have these lines that you can rely on.
Excuse me guys, seconds. Are you from Bangalore? We're actually searching for a good after party place in Bangalore. And we have no clue because it's our first week over.
People don't party around or what?
I've heard they do a lot.
Where are you from? Jaipur. You work here? Is it 9 to 5 like an engineer?
And some examples of a no-brainer opener that me and my clients use and me and my coaches use is something like, hey, I like your style. Hey, I like the way you carry yourself. Hey, I like the way you smile. Now, all these things are very generic. All these things can be used on each and every girl. And what you can do is write down certain lines, write down at least 5 lines what you can use on different people, which are sort of generic, so you can use them on everyone. And in case you ever freeze when you're opening or initiating a conversation, just depend back on those lines, and that would be great. Now, third best pickup line or the way of initiating a conversation or the opening statement would be assuming a lot of familiarity. Now, understand, guys, I'm telling you the opening statements, plus I'm giving you the theory behind it so that you can craft your own opening statements. Let me know in the comment section below which opening statement worked best for you. Now, in this, assuming familiarity is very important. And one of my friends who was really good at this, I saw him doing that and I realized that what he's doing is really powerful, was that he was just walking up to the girl and he was skipping the open. What I mean by skipping the open was he was talking to the girl like he already knew her. Like the open has already happened. For example, if a girl is buying something, he would just pick it up. He would be like, hey, this would look much better on you. Maybe you should try this. By the way, where are you from? Are you from around here? And he would just have this conversation which would look extremely natural. Now, the conversation would look extremely natural. And on the other hand, he was extremely comfortable with that conversation. And that comfort sort of was projected on the girl. The girl also felt extremely comfortable because of the law of state transference, which basically states, if I'm comfortable while I'm talking to you, if I'm not nervous, if I'm feeling positive emotions, my state is going to get transferred to you. You're also going to feel positive emotions while listening. So with assuming familiarity, assuming that he has already opened the girl or he already knows the girl from before, his approaches were so seamless that it would not seem like, oh, he's trying to do this weird pickup thing or he's trying to get the girl attracted. It would just look so natural and the girl would feel so comfortable that she would talk and she would invest in the conversation. Now, the fourth best pickup line or the opening statement that has worked really well for me is the fun approach. Now, I remember last time I was on a boot camp, there was this client who was 45 years old. All right, we went to a bar and we were together and I'm like, okay, let's do the fun approach. So I just went up to the girl and I'm like, hey, my father has gotten me to this club with the expectancy of that I'll talk to a woman and I'll lose my virginity. I'm really shy, I'm really awkward, and is this a good place to talk to some women? Now, guys, I would not recommend you doing this if you're starting out. You can do the fun approach in another way as well. Now, I did this with my wing back in the day. My wingman was really fat, all right? He was really on the obese side, but we would go out and I would be like, hey, listen, can you hear his baby kicking? Can you hear his baby? That's the baby. Can you hear him kicking? I would just take the girl's hand and I would just touch his stomach. It would be extremely weird, but we would have so much fun with it that the girl would immediately get sucked in our fun frame. But guys, be very careful with this. Don't make fun of anyone who takes shit personally, because then it can result in people fighting, arguing with you. So you need to make sure that you have that camaraderie with the person, that you can actually do the fun approach. Now, the fifth best pickup line or the way to initiate a conversation with a girl is just going there and observing the girl. It's called the observational opener. Now, the observational opener is fairly simple. All you need to do, go out there, observe the girl when she's walking to you, and in a split second, decide what you want to compliment her on. Now, for example, if a girl is wearing something out of the ordinary, maybe she's wearing a neon dress, I would just be like, hey, that's a beautiful dress, by the way. I know a lot of people might not be able to wear it because it's a little flashy, but it really looks good on you. By the way, where did you get it from? And I love your fashion sense. Are you a fashion stylist? Now, this way, what happens is you're giving her a compliment, you're observing the girl, it's more personalized, and after giving her the compliment, she's feeling really good about herself, so she's more likely to invest in the conversation moving forward than you just, giving her a compliment based on any generic thing. But again, if you're a guy who cannot come up with an opener on the go, if you're a guy who has to think about it before approaching the girl, please do not do that, because that increases the rate of rejection. Because you're thinking about this, the girl probably sees that you're looking at her, she's also a little afraid, oh, is this guy following me? Is he gonna come and approach me? And what happens is there's a lot of tension that builds up. The more time you take, the more chances of you to fail. So please make sure that when you're approaching the girl, it should be a split-second decision. You observe her, something out of the ordinary, and you give her a compliment on that. Now, the sixth best way of initiating a conversation or pickup line, you can say, is using an assumption opener. Now, the assumption opener is fairly simple. You need to look at the girl, assume what she does. Now, with the assumption, you need to be a little careful as well, because the assumption should always be positive, because only then the girl is more likely to invest in the conversation. If the assumption is negative, then she's not going to invest in the conversation. So, for example, if I see a girl walking by, she's very beautiful, and I would just walk up to her, hey, excuse me, I just wanted to ask you one question. You have such strong features. Are you a model by any chance? And the girl would be more likely to invest because she's already associated her identity with the positive identity that you have associated her with. And she would feel good about herself, like, oh, this guy is just calling me a model because I look beautiful, I have sharp features. Or maybe you can just go and walk up to the girl. Are you a fashion stylist? You have like really beautiful fashion sense. I just had to compliment you on that. Now, the girl is going to associate her identity with a positive association, and then she's a lot more likely to invest in the conversation. But if you associate her identity to a negative association, then she's just going to brush it off off and she's going to walk off. Now, the seventh way of initiating a conversation, or the best pickup line you can think of, is an indirect way of initiating a conversation. Now, what is an indirect opener? Now, indirect opener is when you're trying to initiate a conversation, but you're not trying to tell the girl that you like her, or you're sexually attracted to her, or you're romantically interested in her.
Do you live around here? Because I live on aisle 6. I just come to the fruit section to talk to random, very good-looking people that stand near it.
Now, what you say in an indirect opener is maybe you're asking for directions. You try to make it look more natural, but a lot of beginners fail in this miserably, because what I've seen is if I teach beginners about the indirect opener, what happens with them is they'll walk up to a girl, they will ask her, hey, excuse me, do you know where's the Starbucks? And then they will just walk in that particular direction.
That was terrible.
Was kind of terrible.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
Have a good night.
Okay, you too.
Now, indirect openers work a lot better when you remove the filter of being apologetic about your attraction. Now, let me break it down what it means. Now, indirect opener does not mean that you need to be indirect in your non-verbal communications when you're expressing yourself. For example, if you want to make an indirect opener work, walk up to the girl, excuse me, do you know where's McDonald's? Are you sure? For some reason, I don't trust you. Are you from Delhi, by the way? Now, what happens with this is, even though verbally I'm very indirect, verbally I'm not telling her I'm there to, attract her, or I'm there because I'm attracted to her, non-verbally I'm still conveying directness, I'm still conveying that she's pretty, I'm still conveying that it's a man-to-woman conversation, and that is actually what makes the indirect opener work. Now, if you're a beginner, first you need to work on your non-verbal communication, which is your eye contact, your facial expressions, your voice tonality, and then you can do the indirect openers, and then it would work for you. So that's why we don't teach indirect openers to beginners, but for the people who have done a few approaches, this can be a good way to make the conversation completely natural. The 8th best pickup line, which actually works a lot, and we use this on our boot camps, is the Barney Stinson opener.
Hi, have you met Ted? Hi.
Now, the Barney Stinson opener, or the Barney Stinson pickup line, is very basic, all right? You just go in and you throw in intent for the other person. This works if you're winging someone, if you're out there with someone, doing some approaches with your friend. You can just go in and you can just tell the girl, hey, excuse me, my friend saw you and he sort of likes you. He's so shy, can you help me get him out of his shell? Do you mind talking to him for a minute? Now, for a lot of people, it's an extremely high pressure scenario when they have to tell the girl that they actually like her, and they have to tell the girl that they're actually interested in her. So what this does is it removes that kind of pressure from the person's head. So if you're a beginner, you're going out with your friend, you should definitely try this, because girls are also going to be much more willing to talk to you, because you're not just going there throwing intent for your own self. If that is a limiting factor, then go there and tell your friend, just throw the intent for me and just shut up. And what I mean by throwing the intent is by telling the girl that this guy is so shy, he wanted to talk to you but he could not, so I'm here conveying his message.
Hi, have you met Ted?
Hi, I'm married.
Hi.
And what happens with this is the girl is much more willing and much more open to talk to you. And that is what we did for the boot camp recently, because a lot of people in the last boot camp were complete beginners and they were like, okay, I'm not going to tell the girl that I like her. But once we did them in front of them, it break their limiting belief that the girl is going to reject them if they show intent to the girl, if they show the girl that they're there because they actually are attracted to her.
That's it? You just walk up to someone you don't know and introduce them to your buddy? I don't know, that sounds kind of...
Have you met Kyle?
Hi, Kyle.
Are you Jesus?
And what it did for the clients was that they were more confident doing the next approach, because they saw that nothing is going wrong when I tell the girl that I actually like. So that is what it does for you, and this is a very good way of initiating a conversation if you're going out with your buddies, if you're out with your friends and you don't want to get rejected. So guys, do try all these ways of initiating a conversation with a girl whenever you see that pretty girl, and let me know in the comment section below which works the best for you and why. Now, another way or another pickup line you can say of initiating a conversation or starting a conversation with a beautiful, attractive girl is using the opinion opener. And this happens when you're doing shopping or when you're doing anything, and we recommend our clients whenever you're doing shopping, just pick up a shirt and ask the girl right next to you. Just tell the girl, hey, listen, I just want a woman's opinion. How would this color look on me? And then you can initiate a conversation from there. Now, you can do this when you're shopping, or you can do this when you're going in the malls, try to shop for clothes. And this is a very good way of initiating a conversation with a woman who's in a store. So if you're in a situation where you are in a mall, you see that girl in the store, beautiful girl, selecting her clothes, and you want to talk to her, you can just go over there, select a shirt, and you can be like, I just want a woman's opinion on this. Or you can also ask her a different question, like, hey, it's my friend's birthday, and I just want a woman's opinion on, what should I buy for her, because I have no idea, I've never done this before. before. Are you free for a minute? Could you give me some help on this? And you will be amazed how many women actually want to help you get that perfect gift for your friend. Now guys, I wanted to save the best for the last, but with the best, I need to tell you that this is a two-edged sword, which basically means that if you're a beginner, I would not recommend trying it. If you have certain level of experience, if you have done some approaches before, only then try it, because the cocky opener can go both ways. It can also result in an argument with a girl if you don't have that much experience, or it can go smooth sailing.
I don't know.
I know. Like the earth. You know the earth?
I fucking hate the earth.
You fucking hate the
I'm a
earth.
Martian.
Now what I mean by a cocky opener is, as soon as I spot a girl maybe looking in my direction, she doesn't even have to look at me, but if she's looking in my direction, I can just be like, hey, excuse me, next time I'm going to charge you for looking at me like that. What's your name, by the way? Now if I'm in a bar or a club, this works a lot better, because over there people are in the same kind of mindset of socializing. In the day game environment, I tone down the cockiness a little bit. For example, if I'm out with a friend and if a girl is checking something out and my friend comes in the vision, I would just be like, hey, are you checking my weird uncle? And this is something we did on the boot camp, because there was a client who was 43 years old, and both of us were in a mall, and the girl was checking out some clothes, and he was standing probably in front of those clothes, and I went up to the girl and I'm like, are you really checking out my weird uncle? He's married, but I'm single. By the way, what's your name? Now, a cocky opener works well when you have the attitude to carry it. Now, if you're a guy who's starting out, I would not recommend you doing that, because I started doing this, I think, 3 years in my journey, but completely depends on you, completely depends on your comfort level with approaching people, completely depends on what kind of scenarios you've dealt with earlier. So if you're a guy who thinks you're ready for this, I would recommend using this cocky opener. As soon as you think that the girl is looking at you or looking somewhere where you're in the middle of her vision, I would recommend stopping then and there and just telling her, hey, listen, next time I'm going to charge you for looking at me like that. Now say it with a fun vibe, say it with a smile on your face, so it doesn't seem that serious. Also, you need to tone down the seriousness, and once you do that, you'll realize that the girls will giggle and the girls would be like, oh, is this guy really saying that? You need the right attitude to carry it off. And if the girl is saying something like, no, I was not looking at you, instead of being butthurt, instead of trying to be very serious, you have to take it to a fun direction. So for example, if a girl is looking at me, I'd be like, hey, are you looking at me? She's like, no, I was not looking at you, I was not looking at you. I'm like, but now you're not. By the way, what's your name? So instead of taking it personally, instead of being butthurt, you need to take it to a fun direction, and only then it will work. Now, I hope you guys learned a little bit about different opening techniques when it comes to picking up women, or the different pickup lines that you can craft with these opening techniques. And now, I would also recommend you check out the video where I tell 3 things that you should not talk about to any woman. I'd add a link over here, because this is very important, because now you're well equipped with all the knowledge of going out and approaching women on the go, but you also need to know what you shouldn't be talking about. So I'll add a link over here. And apart from that, if you want our team to help you with your dating life this year, you know what you need to do. All you need to do is schedule a call with our team and click the link over here.